Okay, so I had a bunch of fun magnetising the Maleceptor stroke Toxicrine loadout, which worked great because it meant those incredibly awkward toxic lashes that screw up movement can just be hoisted into the air, Kang and Kodo style, so it can squeeze between ruins and reach out to snag cover. But now I'm pondering running 2 of these feisty psychic brutes, but do I really want to cough up all that money? Especially because currently the Toxicrine kinda sucks and the Maleceptor rather rules, and I do have a 3D printer now.
I've got a plan, and it's as hot as my pants!
Okay, let's take a wander through the fertile fields of the interwebs, whereupon I came across a rather nice looking model by Swarmhammer. Into Lychee it goes, and I hollow it out to save on resin, add supports, and then export to the thumb drive. Into the printer we go, and then scrape off the parts off the build plate onto a paper towel, and into the pickle strainer it all goes to bob them up and down to get the goo off. Now, you know what? I've done so many bases in my small world slate and stone with some gore and dissolving skulls and meat here and there. Maybe by now the swarmers started to truly take over the planet. Maybe there's some bases that would reflect that. Oh yeah, the hive set looks good. Nice one, Admiral Apocalypse. And a snip at $10. I think I'll be using these from here on out. Right, into Lychee, tilt it to help ensure a successful run, and I added the auto supports. Then, just to help out, I added a few larger ones here and there to improve the odds of a victorious print run. Right, as that prints, back to the bug. I soak the parts in warm water to loosen the material so that everything pops free of the supports with ease, and an X-Acto chops off a few stray bits here and there, and those times when a support is connecting some chitin plates. Assemble! The head carapace attaches to the main body, the maw slots in underneath, the lower part of the torso slots into place, and then add the tail and the little Y-shaped conduits that connect from the tail to the main body. The scything talons each have a bit of armoured chitin to drop into place before they get added along with the other legs and arms. The whole model comes together very nicely. I'm always concerned when I see tabs and slots because sometimes a tiny distortion means that the thing just doesn't fit together and I have to attempt to snip the tabs off in order to finish the model, and sometimes such violence can crack the whole thing. So again, nice one Swarmhammer, you crushed it with this one. So, how does this fellow compare size-wise to the actual Games Workshop Maleceptor? Excellent. Actually, damn, I think I like the 3D one a little more. The GW one has the smooth alien xenomorph head, while the 3D one has the more Aliens edition detailed and more intricate head. I also like the less bunched up blobby style of pose. It looks a bit more sleek. The legit one seems a little more rotund than the other one is a bit more athletic. Anywho, off to a cardboard box on the patio, and the beast gets a blast of Chaos Black Primer from every direction, as does the 3D printed base. Then a big brush and dab a comprehensive layer of Macragge blue base over all the skin, getting it into all those hidden regions and weird details. Damn, this thing is really intricate. Painting just the base is really illustrating just how much went into this design. So, avoiding the main carapace on the head and the back and tail, I then moved on to painting that base, which again illustrated even more detail. The veins and the skulls scattered around. I was pondering doing this in purple and blue, but I think I'll stick with the blue, like the red weed in War of the Worlds, whether rock, tendril, vent, spore node or skull, everything is just coated in this digestive blue algae. Anywho, Zaru's purple on the chitin, the head armour, the body carapace, the scything claw armour, and the hooves, foot talons and thigh defences. Then Null Oil, keep the model on its side and splash it all over so that it pulls up in all those cool details, nooks, crannies and overlapping plates. The base that has also been painted blue also gets Null Oil, dabbed all over so it settles in the trenches and troughs. Then, flipping the Maleceptor over, the other side gets Null Oil as well to get the same shadowy effects. Leave this for a while to dry, and then breaking out the Imric Blue Dry. Dab a brush into the pot and then paint in on the scything tips, and the end of the tail creating a solid hue that sheds just enough paint that I can then start dancing the brush across the ribs and limbs, dry brushing the body and getting a nice gradual blend from Macragge to Imric. The base also gets a similar application, catching the tops of those clusters of vents and really bringing out all the weird growths and leftovers. Ethereum Blue Dry, the exact same tactic, just applied a little more delicately. Load up the brush, paint the tips of the scything talon and the tail so to get a much more gentle dry brush across the limbs and body and teeth, and enhances everything. And then the same applied to the base. Gene Stealer Purple, dry brushed across the armour to catch the edges of the chitin plates, adding a lighter colour directly above where areas of non-oil settled. White Scar, carefully painted into all the areas of brain and the various vents on the chitin plating. I decided not to add it to the gills on the limbs. I want the main body to be the part glowing with bioluminescent energy. Also, the extended tongue gets White Scar, and I paint around the interior of the open maw as well. Now, to get my glow, what actually are the ridges on the brain called? Okay, Nilic Oxide carefully applied to the brains, and the watery paint settles in the sulci, creating a more vibrant hue, leaving the gyri less covered and brighter looking. The same on the tongues and cautiously into the gills. And then a very gentle skim of White Scar dry brushed across the very tops of the brains to add a final bit of additional glow. So here we have the finished model next to its nifty printed base. Glue the Maleceptor on, and let's compare to my other Maleceptor. Look at the subtle detailing, the tasteful armoured head chitin, the ridges on the tail. Oh my god, it even has multiple craniums and textured skin. So, here we have a Maleceptor, a creature that appears to be a grotesque merging of two of the hive mind's most terrible creations, splicing the massive bulk and devastating flesh-shredding and armour-ripping scything talons of the Carnifex with the monstrous mental might of the Zoanthrope. Cranial blooms are located across its heavily armoured torso, and these throb with barely suppressed psychic ferocity, gifting the Maleceptor with a psychic overload, which when unleashed results in a wave of potent energy that washes out and demolishes even the most resilient minds, while also shattering bone, warping steel and cracking even hardened ceramite with its devastating dominance. Able to channel the potency of the hive mind to rally and control the lesser organisms of the swarm in its immediate vicinity, it can also unleash the full horror of the shadow in the warp, a tsunami of dismay and terror that floods a vast area and can cripple even the most battle-hardened troops so that they fall easily to the fangs and claws of the ravenous and relentless Tyranid organisms. The Maleceptor also oozes disruptive and terrifying tendrils of psychic power, radiating a permanent hint of the shadow in the warp, so that those embraced by this disruptive field find their senses clouded, their ability to resist and fight diminished. Like the Zoanthrope, the Maleceptor also uses its psychic might to generate a protective field that can deflect and counter even the most devastating barrages of firepower, and repel melee attacks of the most formidable varieties. Attacks that would eviscerate a Carnifex can simply bounce harmlessly off of this invisible and inviolate defensive shell. But where the body of a Zoanthrope is puny and needs psychic power to even move the fell creature around, the Maleceptor has a powerful, massive frame, rippling with stalwart muscles and coated in dense chitin plates. The monster thunders forth on four muscular limbs and can deploy its paired scything talons, sweeping wide to carve through entire ranks of infantry and punch forward to penetrate armoured vehicles prior to ripping them apart. The Maleceptor, one of the most effective designs concocted by the hive mind, serving a variety of vital roles in the endless harvesting of biomass. It reinforces the might of the swarm, unsettles and weakens the foe, throws forth waves of annihilating psychic violence, is shielded from all but the most apocalyptic attacks, and can tear apart swathes of enemies with its massive talons.